This video is a follow-up to my Make Your Own Beach Glass video. The process presented in that video works, it really does. However, since the initial video's release, I found that the resulting glass often wasn't as well abraded as I would have liked it to have been. So I've been making some improvements in the process, and now I'm back with some ways that you can make your beach glass look older, more worn, and in my opinion more attractive. For your own pieces, you are the artist. You can do it your way. But these are some suggestions to help you improve the look and effectiveness of your tumbled glass. You can get more abrasion by tumbling longer. This may work for you, but you run the risk of making the glass too thin, which leads to fragility, and the longer times really don't have much of an effect on the edge of the pieces. The problem is that the glass from bottles and glasses and similar items has a fairly similar profile, wide with curves that are fairly similar, and thin edges. This means that pieces tend to stack up on each other. As you might guess, this means that the pieces don't get abraded in the way that we really want them to. Fortunately, there is a solution to this. Add other shapes. One of the easiest things you can do is add some rocks. And this works, but there are a couple of things to think about. We're not just talking about the shape and size of your rocks. Use whatever shape and size you find works best. But we also need to think about the hardness of the rocks and how we're layering things into the tumbler. As a general principle, I go with about a quarter barrel of glass, followed by about a quarter barrel of rock, and then another quarter barrel of glass. This just helps things get mixed together while they're tumbling and tends to result in a better looking piece of glass. Generally, this is the process that I use with all the mixes that we're going to talk about in this video. You could use just any old rock you happen to have on hand. The rock in this picture is from a batch of sapphire gravel that I had. And it really did work. The rocks had different shapes which broke up the stacking of the glass. Unfortunately, some of the rock in this batch was softer than the glass, so we didn't get as much wear on the glass, and we got more wear on the rock than we wanted. Fortunately, there are other options. In particular, quartz family rocks like agate or amethyst are as hard or harder than our glass will be, and they're pretty available. You can literally pick up quartz off the ground, and you can order it from a number of sources. I used some tumbling grade amethyst that I happened to have on hand, and it really did up the wear factor on the glass. It broke up the stacks, and it worked the edges harder than the river rock or just glass by itself did. But there was also the challenge that the amethyst pieces were a little bit larger and tended to break some of the glass, which happened for me fairly early in the mix, but your mileage may vary. You can prevent this problem by making sure that you use smaller pieces of amethyst and not huge chunks and boulders. Adding a stone like the amethyst does cut down on the amount of glass in your load. It really does improve the effect, and I feel like it's worthwhile. You also have the bonus that after a couple of runs with the glass, your amethyst is ready to move on to a medium and then a fine abrasion. So you're both working on polishing some stones while you're working on polishing your glass. There are also some glass-on-glass options. I found this chunk glass in the mosaic section of my local art supply store. It's roughly the same hardness as the bottle glass, and it has weight and shape effects similar to the rocks. As you can see, the chunk glass also comes in some interesting colors. I've had more trouble finding red, but sometimes you can find it. As with the quartz, I tend to run these batches for 6 to 8 days. This variation not only gives you better abrasion, but also gives you some different shapes and sizes, which remind me of the chunks of old Japanese fishing floats and other real glass pieces that got me interested in doing this in the first place. This version works really well. But what if there's a way to split the difference between man-made glass and natural stuff and still be doing all glass? This is obsidian. It's a natural glass and has a hardness similar to the man-made glass we've been using. It also has all the same handling issues. Of course, obsidian is more likely to start as chunks, balls, and flakes, and be more similar in shape to the natural rocks than to the man-made glass pieces that we've been using. As you can see, there's a wide range of shapes that are possible. Once tumbled, the obsidian could be used like beach glass, or you could go further into the polishing process, all the way to get some fully polished obsidian pieces. There are some quirks in that process that make it different from tumbling quartz or similar stones, but that's another video and we're not going to cover that today. The techniques in this video are ways to modify your process and expand your options with glass. I have other videos in the pipe that talk about other modifications to the process, as well as some videos about completed projects. I would love to hear about what you're doing with glass and other materials. Leave a comment below if you have something to share, or if you have a question you'd like to have answered. And if you're not a subscriber, how about hitting that subscribe button? I'm Pharangian, and this has been Improving Your Beach Glass. Use a mix. To see some of the other things I'm working on, check out my YouTube channel, go to my blog at Words Mean Stuff, or the Forever Mountain Publishing website listed on your screen. And thank you.